The morning sun struggled to pierce the fog clinging to the ivy-covered walls of the University of California, Berkeley, as Elena Carter slipped into a seat at the back. Her worn duffel bag, a relic of 18 years in the military, rested beside her, its straps frayed from countless deployments. Graduation banners fluttered in the spring breeze, and the brass band's sharp fanfare sliced through the hum of proud parents, trustees and professors in crisp suits. Elena was a shadow here, a role she'd grown accustomed to. Returning from Fort Bragg, she hadn't told anyone she was coming, or about her recent promotion. It didn't matter to them. Olivia Carter stood on stage, her crimson honor sash gleaming, dark hair bouncing as she laughed into a professor's embrace. The younger sister, the family's pride, destined for a career in renewable energy. Her name blazed in bold on every program. Olivia Carter, magna cum laude. Elena glanced at the program crumpled in her lap. Her own name was absent. Olivia radiated brilliance. Margaret, a few rows ahead, cooed loudly enough for nearby heads to turn. Our Olivia, always meant for greatness. James nodded curtly. She's everything we hoped for, unlike some. His voice dipped, just shy of overt accusation, but the sting landed. Elena exhaled through her nose, her face a mask of calm honed by years under fire. A pause hung in the air before Margaret twisted in her seat, catching Elena's eye with a smirk. 18 years of service and you still don't own a house. Imagine that. Elena's lips curved faintly, a smile only she could feel. Ghosts didn't need homes. Ghosts carried the weight of foundations built with blood. Margaret turned back, satisfied as if delivering a final judgment. The announcer called Olivia's name. She glided forward in sparkling heels, claiming the stage with effortless grace. Applause erupted. James rose, clapping with glistening eyes. "She'll support us in our old age," he said, grinning. "Elena, your future might rest on her now." Something shifted. A low crackle hissed from the loudspeaker, followed by a deep vibration underfoot. Then came the roar, rotor blades cutting the sky. Heads snapped up, cameras tilted, faculty froze mid-sentence. Elena rose slowly, her plain jacket fluttering as she stepped forward with the certainty of someone who'd done this before. Margaret's gaze burned into her back, but Elena didn't turn. A U-60 Blackhawk descended, its downdraft tearing through tents and scattering gowns. A scream pierced the air as a gust stole a woman's hat. The crowd staggered back, awestruck. The helicopter settled on the quad, grass and confetti swirling. The side door swung open and a uniformed officer stepped out, scanning the sea of faces. His eyes locked on Elena. He saluted, voice cutting through the blades. "Colonel Carter, we need you." Silence crashed over the field. James's jaw dropped. Olivia's diploma slipped, falling in slow motion. Every eye turned to Elena. "Colonel Elena Carter, required immediately." The words weren't shouted, but they silenced the crowd. Birdsong, applause, all vanished. Only her pulse thumped. Major Daniel Hayes, her second-in-command from the Desert Storm mission, emerged in full combat gear, silver threading his hair, lines etched deep from shared battles. Time slowed not from cliché drama but from a deep, trained instinct kicking in. Elena straightened, meeting his gaze. He halted 10 feet away and saluted. "Ma'am," she replied, returning it. Surrounded by civilians in Berkeley blue robes, the scene felt surreal, yet no one laughed. The university chancellor, a stout man with sweating brows, hurried over, tie flapping. "Colonel Carter, I had no idea we were honored by your presence." Elena nodded, expression unreadable. "It wasn't announced." Daniel handed him a thick envelope. "Orders from the Department of Defense. Normally private, but circumstances require a field presentation." The chancellor fumbled with the seal, revealing a meritorious service medal and clearance tags. His eyebrows shot up. "Of course." Whispers swelled. Margaret stood, clutching her purse. James's eyes narrowed, calculating. Olivia's smile wavered, barely holding. Daniel leaned in. "This isn't just recognition. Someone's using your credentials." Elena stared. "What?" He lowered his voice. "Defense accounts, procurement logs, black budget access. Under your ID. Small at first, now it's slipped oversight." Her breath caught. She hadn't checked her records in months, trusting firewalls she'd built. The chancellor cleared his throat. "Colonel, would you join us on stage briefly?" Elena nodded, passing her family. Olivia's wide eyes met hers, words failing. Margaret's lips thinned. James stared, knuckles white. She climbed the steps deliberately, the sun too bright, or perhaps the fire in her chest. The crowd watched, frozen, as she accepted the medal in silence. A firm handshake, a photo, a murmur of confidentiality. Daniel's words echoed. "Someone's using your name." Descending, he held the helicopter door. She paused, scanning the stunned faces. Margaret's scorn, James's schemes, Olivia's confusion, then boarded. The door slammed shut, lifting her from their gaze. Back at Fort Bragg, the air smelled of oil and order. Daniel led her to a stark office with 3 folders. "Flagged your name," he said. "Found this in 2016, a credit line tied to your ID." The signature was hers, yet not. "I didn't sign it," she said. "We found 5 linked accounts," he replied. "And this bothers me. I delivered a contract to James Carter in Virginia that year on your behalf." Her stomach turned. A knock interrupted. Laura Bennett, a recommended attorney, entered with a flash drive. "Cross-checked your file. A $700,000 transfer to a holding account, drained by James as your legal proxy." The room grew heavy. "He filed paperwork claiming you were deployed," Laura added. Elena's hands flattened on the table. This was no mistake. The rain tapped a steady rhythm against the windows of Elena Carter's temporary apartment in Washington, D.C., casting faint reflections of amber streetlights across the room. The city's spring gloom seeped into her bones, mirroring the unease that had taken root since the helicopter landing at Berkeley. The apartment was stark. Unpacked boxes stacked in corners, her duffel bag slouched like a reluctant guest. 30 had come and gone without fanfare, marked only by a forgotten birthday dinner Olivia once insisted on. James had texted about a board meeting, promising a call that never came. Now she knew it was likely a cover for a transaction bearing her name. The doorbell buzzed, breaking her reverie. Elena straightened, her military posture instinctive, and opened the door to Laura Bennett, her trench coat dripping from the downpour. "You're taller than I expected," Laura said, brushing wet curls from her face with a faint smile. "Drier than I thought," Elena replied, handing her a towel. Laura stepped inside, dropping a leather briefcase on the counter. "I've reviewed the documents Daniel sent," she began, pulling out a plastic-wrapped sheet. "This is both worse and better than you think." Elena leaned over the kitchen island as Laura unfolded a printed PDF, a scanned signature form with her name. "That's my name," she said, "but not my pen." Laura nodded. "Exactly. The signature's too clean, lacking natural pressure deviation. It was digitally created." She handed over another folder, dated 2019. "If this was faked and submitted as authorization, it's federal fraud under 18 U.S.C. 1028. But since it used your military ID, you might be liable, unless we prove you didn't consent and were deployed." Elena exhaled slowly. "I was stationed in Nevada that entire quarter, no access to U.S. servers." Laura's eyes sharpened. "That's what I need. Do you still have your operational logs, duty rotation reports, deployment orders?" Elena nodded, retrieving encrypted files from her bag. "I have everything." A knock interrupted. Daniel entered with a flash drive. "Just pulled an old email chain from Fort Bragg archives. This'll sting." He handed it to Laura, who plugged it into her laptop. An email from 2016 flashed on screen. James authorizing a contract with Elena's signature embedded in the header. Laura zoomed in. "Signif Pro," she muttered. "Commercial forgery software, banned for military use." They didn't even scrub the metadata properly. Elena's fists clenched under the counter. "This is enough for the feds," Laura said. "But filing triggers full discovery. Media could catch wind. You'll be dragged through it with James." Elena met her gaze. "So be it." Laura lowered her voice. "One more thing. Are you ready to testify? To accuse your father publicly of felony identity fraud." The room shrank, rain slicking the windows in gray streaks. Elena didn't answer immediately, the ache in her chest a mix of justice and grief. Laura's tone softened. "You can serve a country or a family, but not always both." The words lingered as Elena stood before Colonel Harris's desk at Fort Bragg, the office sterile with the scent of aging leather. She handed him her retirement papers. Effective immediately. Honorable retirement under Code 6119. He signed, adding, "If only your family knew who they ignored." The words cut deeper than she let on. Laura met her outside, tablet in hand. "It's done," she confirmed. "Next phase. Verify your timeline, track wire paths. I'd recommend a press conference. Controlled, sharp, timely. I'll coordinate with the department's comms team." "No leaks?" Elena asked. Laura raised an eyebrow. "From me? Never." They paused by a glass wall overlooking the courtyard, the rain easing into a soft gray sky. "I visited a friend's grave yesterday," Elena said quietly. "Sergeant Pierce always said silence was our second uniform, but I'm not sure it fits anymore." They stood in silence, then Elena turned. "Let's do the press conference. And after we go to court." That evening, the apartment air thickened with tension. Deployment logs, legal printouts, and financial audits cluttered her desk, untouched. A photograph of her and Sergeant Pierce from their last mission in eastern Nevada tacked to the wall. His rare smile faded with time. She owed him and herself. The doorbell rang again. Cautious, she checked the peephole. No one. Just a brown envelope taped to the door, no stamps, delivered by hand. Inside was a handwritten letter in James's script. "Elena, I know this isn't enough, but please forgive me, Dad." Below it, a power of attorney agreement from 2016. Her name printed, his signature below, her line blank. Scrawled across the top, "I didn't have a choice." The paper fell to the table. A plea for absolution with no amends. Elena stood, spine rigid. If he thought forgiveness was free, he'd learn its price. At Laura's firm, the conference room smelled of toner and coffee, windows framing DC's chaotic pulse. Laura unrolled documents. Power of attorney records from 2016, civilian loans under Elena's name funneled through Meridian Impact LLC. "Never heard of them," Elena said. "They don't advertise," Laura replied. The address links to a Fairfax office park. Director, James Carter. Daniel added, "Over $800,000 funneled from 2017 to 2020, secured with your identity." Jordan Lee, a young forensic analyst, ran scans on the PDF. Metadata scrubbed but not fully. High-end modifier software, signature layer inserted digitally. And this, he extracted a hidden zip file, a fake driver's license with your details, uploaded from James's Arlington IP. The silence was thick. "Beyond identity theft," Jordan said. "Federal felony, minimum 5 years. Elena stood, hands trembling with fury turned to steel. "I want everything, documents, files, names. We build the case and don't stop until the last lie burns." Laura nodded, sealing a pact. "We'll need a secure server. If he suspects he could erase data." He turned to Elena. "Ready to go all the way?" Elena met her eyes. "I'm ready to bury the past." A hollow echo lingered, a mix of strength and the realization that her family's betrayal crossed an uncleansable line. The war room, a converted storage space at Laura's firm, buzzed with focus. Whiteboards bore arrows, dates, initials. Laura stood center, projecting transaction logs and timelines. 27 entries under your name, 2016 to 2021, all while deployed, Germany, Belgium, Nevada. Elena nodded. "Never authorized any." Jordan added, "Same metadata, same server." They got comfortable. Laura circled 2 dates, February 3, 2018, and July 12, 2020, capital injections into Meridian. "You were abroad both times." "We need a witness," Elena said. "Already on it," Laura replied. Deborah Chon, ex-Meridian accountant, agreed to meet. That afternoon, Deborah, late 40s and precise, opened her laptop in a quiet room. "I kept copies. Some contracts felt off, signed before dating." Laura leaned in. "Did you see Elena Carter's name?" Deborah nodded. "First was a fax from James's office, signature already on it. I asked him to confirm. He said it was cleared beyond my pay grade." Laura's voice sharpened. "Transmission record?" "I have it." Jordan added it to the chain. Daniel scrolled his phone. Found an email 2019. Secure using EC clearance. No delays. PC, Elena Carter. Laura wrote on the board. Facts, confirmation, IP logs, finances, emails. 5 pillars. Enough to file with the Inspector General, she said. Elena added James's name to the list. Laura's voice turned iron. We submit for fraud, identity misappropriation, military impersonation. The room stilled. Elena sat, the decision's weight settling like steel. For years silence protected them. Now it built a fortress of deceit. Send it, she said. Laura submitted the complaint. A federal investigation loomed. A headline: Carter family rift raises eyebrows. Hit Financial Insight Weekly. Laura tossed the magazine down. Deliberate. The byline: Maxwell Denton linked to James's past associates. Olivia confronted Elena outside her apartment. You started this? Elena explained the proof. He built our life with my name, she snapped. Olivia faltered, leaving the magazine behind. At a veterans meeting, Elena defended her record. That night she vowed to reclaim her narrative. The federal hearing room in Washington, D.C., felt colder than Elena Carter had anticipated, not from the temperature but from the weight of its atmosphere. Beige walls, frosted glass, and dull carpet framed a solemn circle of authority. No grand gestures or raised voices filled the space, only the quiet hum of consequence. Laura Bennett adjusted her lapel mic, standing to Elena's right in her uniform. Across the room, James Carter sat flanked by 2 gray-suited attorneys, Olivia beside him, shoulders tense, eyes darting between them and the silent observers. She looked like someone thrust onto a battlefield unaware a war had begun. The lead commissioner tapped the microphone. This preliminary review will assess Colonel Elena Carter's claims of identity fraud, abuse of classified credentials, and financial misconduct. Laura rose. We will demonstrate that between 2016 and 2021, Mr. James Carter knowingly used his daughter's name, identity, and military clearance without consent, resulting in illegal financial gain and personal harm. She began with the metadata trail, documents edited with military-grade renderers, traced to James's Bethesda home IP. Bank records followed, transactions under E.C. Carter, with power of attorney filed under a false deployment pretext. The fake signature, the forged ID upload, and Daniel's audio recording played. She won't know. I'm her proxy. James's jaw tightened. Elena gripped the table's edge, her knuckles whitening. Laura presented a final document, an account listing Olivia as the sole secondary beneficiary, funded by siphoning Meridian contract money. He used you too, she said. Olivia's voice cracked. What? She stared at the page, her name unmistakable. James remained silent, his face a mask. The commissioner recessed for 72 hours. As the gavel fell, Elena turned to him. You didn't just betray me, she said softly, clearly. You turned me into a tool. He didn't respond, but for once he didn't look away. The hearing resumed at 9 a.m., the air denser, electric with anticipation. Camera crews lined the far wall, reporters' pens poised like weapons. James looked paler, Olivia rigid, her gaze unsteady. Laura leaned in. Deborah's ready. Deborah Chon took the stand, slight, unassuming, hair pulled back, adjusting her glasses. I worked at Meridian Impact LLC from 2015 to 2018 as senior accountant. In late 2016, I received a fax under Elena Carter approving an offshore transfer. She held up a yellowed sheet. The fax number was James Carter's office. James shifted, his attorney stayed still. The signature bypassed dual verification, rushed and unprofessional, Deborah added. I didn't know it was forged then, but it's clear now. Laura stood. May I submit deployment logs showing Elena was in Eastern Europe, no domestic access? The commissioner nodded. Daniel followed, calm and deliberate, presenting folders. These are Elena's official logs, GPS, chain of command, encrypted comms, confirming her absence during those transactions. He paused, handing Laura a sealed envelope. This 2017 memo flagged EC fallback liability, emergency use only, indicates civilian misuse of classified data to shield financial risk. The room tensed. James stood abruptly. I want a recess, he said sharply. His attorney flinched. On what grounds? The commissioner asked. James whispered to his lawyer, then sat silent. 5-minute recess granted. Chairs scraped, murmurs rose, but no one left. Laura leaned toward Elena. He's folding. Elena nodded, heart racing but face composed. This wasn't triumph yet. Olivia turned, her trembling hand reaching for Elena's. How long have you known? She whispered. Her eyes weren't angry, lost, softened by a sharp realization. Elena closed her fingers around hers, not as a soldier but as a sister. Truth didn't always bring peace, sometimes just silence. The world didn't explode, it stopped. A week later, the Justice Department announced charges: identity theft, federal fraud, abuse of classified access, and record obstruction. James's name was stripped from the National Finance Committee by noon, his $17 million in assets frozen. Media dissected his fall, once a philanthropist, now a still frame leaving court hands empty. Elena requested no spotlight. The army confirmed her record quietly. Olivia called 3 days later, resigned. I can't stay knowing how I got there. Margaret faded into silence. Elena stood outside the old Carter residence on Westchester Lane, hedges trimmed, windows dim. Laura offered a closure statement. Elena declined. The door creaked open. Inside, the grand piano was gone, family portraits replaced by pale rectangles. Margaret sat, smaller, elegant but dulled. You always knew, she said. Yet you came back. Elena sat across from her, not for vengeance, but for the echo of what should have been. Neither spoke more. At the Pentagon's Grand Hall, spotlights gleamed off marble floors. Over 500 officials, journalists, and civilians watched as Elena received the Distinguished Service Medal. I refuse to disappear, she said, voice firm. Truth needs no applause, only to be spoken. Applause rose, sustained. Laura met her backstage. What now? Family. Elena smiled. I'll rebuild with those who never betrayed me. That night, she placed the medal beside a faded photo of her unit. Justice late but enough. She was no longer a ghost. Hey everyone. Thanks for tuning into the Revenge Tempest channel. If you love this story, please hit that subscribe button and join our amazing community. Drop a comment below letting us know where you watched us from. Your support keeps us going. Stay tuned for more epic tales.